So the very good news is that you are better than you think at almost everything. Especially with CG. Like we're all trying to make an entire city using displacement maps and like image textures in like 2 minutes, and if we know if we actually modeled everything correctly, it would be better. Or like any scene you've done, you can look at it and see things that you could fix, and you just decided not to fix them, or decided that something was good enough. And so, for me at least, the process of becoming a better artist over the past, however many years, is one of just raising my standards and being like, just fix it, make it better then. And so that's kind of what I wanted to do today, because I have always done neon signs. I made a lazy tutorial last year about neon signs, which is where you just go and you make your text, and under the settings you turn the fill to none, you turn the geometry bevel depth up a little bit. There you go, you got your neon thing. Make a new material, set it to emissive, give it that good old neon-y color, and let's go in Eevee, turn on the bloom, and let's turn up the emission, and there we go. It looks like neon, but this is obviously a simplification, and it can work great if you're just trying to fill out like a big scene or something like that. But we should at least know that we're cutting a lot of corners. So I actually have like some neon signs. And so I took these pictures here, and like, look at this. You can see there's dust, and there's smudges, and there's these dirty brackets with a special type of screw holding it on, and you can actually see the plasma. It's a volumetric thing going through these things. The rubber's split. There's little numbers on this wire, and so I wanted to try to just get a little bit closer to this. I wanted there to be a hyperbole sign, and so I just made this, and I learned a lot actually, and so I wanted to share some of the stuff that I learned. Also, I'll be releasing these bracket and the little transformer box here, just in case. I mean, they take like 2 seconds to make, but yeah, let's dive into it. Okay, so we'll stick in Eevee for a second, because Eevee does work good in terms of this approach, but once we start getting into like light shining through glass, Eevee doesn't do that particularly well. So let's see, let's set this up, turn this into just kind of a medium wall. No wall. All right, add a screen share or screencast. Whoop, there we go. Adding some text. We'll just let it say text, texty. Rotating it up, and under font, let's pick a good one. I've been into the alternate Gothic #2 for all of the hyperbole stuff, and so let's see. So the first thing we got to figure out is neon is made of blown glass tubes, and you can't have a perfect 90-degree angle with a blown glass tube. And so what are we gonna do? We could convert it into a curve, which is normally what we do, but it's really hard actually to smooth out a 90-degree curve. If you try to like soften it, then the whole thing warps. But with the mesh tools, that's not a problem. So we're gonna quickly convert to a mesh. And now, did I do that right? Let's see if I did that right. I don't think I did. Convert to, nope. Convert to mesh. There we go. And now we've got all of this stuff. If you want, you can select everything and hit X limited dissolve, and that'll delete everything that it doesn't think is totally vital. Like, it'll always connect the inner holes to like the outside with these bridges. But now, let's see. I might get rid of some of these points that are with Control X, which just kind of dissolves things away. Anything that's close to my bevels. And now I can just go through and like, ooh yeah, like that one and that one. I want all of these. I want all of these points here. Yeah, all of these points and those two. And now if I hit Control-Shift-B, I can bevel those individual points and just smooth everything out all at once. And that looks pretty good. Actually, is something weird going on up there? Let me see. Was there two? Oh, interesting. Interesting. Well, that could explain why stuff's weird. Anyways, yeah. Reselect these, reselect these, reselect these. Ba-bow. Ba-bow. Control-Shift-B. Yeah, that looks fine. And then, select that and convert back to a curve. And look at that, it's nice and clean. The other thing is that signs they're not two-dimensional. They are very much 3D, and a lot of times also they'll have for the parts they don't want illuminated, because like if they want to well, we'll get to that. So let's make sure everything is all connected. Over here we'll have the part where it connects to the transformer, and so I'm just gonna hit E to extrude out this scale, bring it down here, and I'm gonna extrude it back and over, and just delete that segment, and so that'll lead off to the power supply. Oh, there we go. And let's do the same thing with these guys. I'm gonna select right here and right here, and I'm gonna do both of these at once. Just kind of there, extrude out, delete those segments, select these top ones, and hit F to connect them. And look at that, we're just connecting all the tubes right here. I like it. And we'll tweak how far this all is in a second. Let's do the same thing with this one here. Let's do these two. I'm only doing two at once to kind of save time, you know. Segments, F, and then just kind of straighten those out. Yeah. It'd probably be smart actually if I turn up the bevel depth, just so I can get a sense of like how thick this glass is. Yeah, that's good. Typically glasses I think can only be like 5 or 6 feet or like 2 meters or something before it starts to fade off, and so they usually make it in those big of chunks, and so we'll just split this into 2 different parts. We'll have another part where it connects to the power supply here. Yeah, and I like having it terminate behind the sign so it doesn't mess with the silhouette. Delete that segment, and we'll connect we'll connect this over here. And what would be a good place to do this? I guess just right here. Extrude, go up, scale back, delete the segment. Oh, no, it's still there. The segment, F, bring that down, and let's make the part where it leaves. So this will be going back to the transformer. And the previous sign. Okay, so now I think this should all work great. Power comes in like this, goes through all of here, comes out there, goes in. Woo! Oh. No, I have one too many. So let's see, delete these vertices, and yeah, so it'll go, yeah, it just goes in here and then back to the transform. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I'm going to make our new material here and just make it glass, which is nice. Woo! So one thing that they typically do is they'll paint these back bits to be dark, and so that's so that you can still read it, because this can get kind of messy. And we can do that actually really easily. First thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull all of these back just a little bit, maybe flatten them out some. Yeah. Maybe add in edge split. The reason for that, the glass will render really weird if the normals are, you know, if the I don't know what this is called, but it's kind of twisted. You can see that, and if you put an edge split modifier, that fixes it. And that took me a minute to figure out, because I don't know why. But yeah, let's get into texturing here. Let's bring up the compositor, and I'm using the Node Wrangler, which you can activate in the preferences in the add-ons, and that makes it much easier to work on textures, because I can just be like Control T and it loads in all the image textures and all that. You've heard people talk about this a million times. Okay, so this is glass, turning down the roughness, and I'm going to load in an environment, because when you're working with glass and reflections, you always want to be able to see the thing that it's you want it reflecting something, so you can see imperfections and stuff. Let's do this nighttime. And how does this look just right off the bat here? Hey, that's pretty cool. Okay, so part of this is going to be glass, part of this is going to be a diffused, kind of dark spray painted bit, and we will mix them with the mix shader here, and we're going to control, so now we can go like full diffuse, full glass. We're going to control this with a gradient texture, and we'll go from, you know, gradient on the back to the clear glass in the front, Put the factor in there. What is this? What does this do? It kind of looks like it's going from clear to dark there. I'm gonna hit Control T, and that brings up these texture, coordinate, and mapping nodes. You can also hit Shift A and add them. This is just faster. And I think if I rotate this, it's gonna do something here. It's a little bit hard to see, and so let's see. Also apply transform maybe is good. So I'm gonna use a color ramp converter, color ramp, and just try to dial this in just a little bit. Okay, so now we can see this is on the top, going to the bottom here. That is the wrong axis we're rotating, which means we're gonna have some fun figuring out which one's the right axis. Okay. Is that? That looks like maybe it could be right. There we go. There we go. Thanks for bearing with me. It's a very narrow area to dial in. And you know what? I don't know what to say, because every time I do this, it's a different axis and a different place, and I don't know why that is. It could be, I feel like it's scaling or something, but I apply the transformation. So anyways, that's just a bummer. So if you happen to have this glass being, an emission thing instead, you can have like woo! And that's just a great way to do a neon sign. You can add some little caps to the end here, connect it up to a transformer. And as far as like Eevee goes, that could be awesome. But let's try to get a little bit more like this. And so instead of the emission, I am gonna keep the glass here, and I'm gonna jump on over into cycles, GPU, using the new denoising, just because it's nice. And now I'm going to duplicate this, and let's see. Let's just get rid of all of this and give it an... Actually, you know what? So look at this. This is a very volumetric material. This is not just a glowing rod in the middle. And so let's do it with volumetrics. Shader, principled volume, plug it into the volume there, and I'm gonna turn the emission strength like kind of like that, and let's see what happens here. Okay, so ideally now we have oops, oh geez. Okay, there's all of our materials. There's a glass. That makes sense. I didn't give it a new material, so I was just changing the glass into a glowing one. So duplicate that, get rid of that, and give it a Plasma 1 material. Yes. And now we can delete. Nope. Plasma 1. Yes. Sorry about that. Shader, principled volume into the volume. Make sure you go into the volume, otherwise it'll be black and you'll be confused. And now if I turn up the emission strength, does anything happen? It does, but because its surface is occupying the exact same space as that, we can't see anything. So I'm going to tab into edit mode, select everything, and hit Alt S, and that's going to let me scale it either up or down. And you can see the only reason we couldn't see it is because it literally was occupying the exact same space as the glass surface. So I'm going to give it like a super bright core here, maybe like, a kind of more yellow one, and make it like something crazy, like 5,000. I'm going to duplicate this, go back into edit mode, Alt S to blow it up a little bit more here, and I'm going to turn the emission strength down to like 100. And how does that... Oh! I didn't give it a new material. So, yes, this will be Plasma 2. I'm doing that a lot tonight. Full disclosure, I did do like an hour-and-a-half long version of this, but then at the end I looked at it and I was like, that's too long. This doesn't need to be an hour and a half. It was just a lot of me figuring stuff out. I don't like the ratio of how thin this is, so I'm just gonna fatten this up a little. All right, cool. So, what do we do next? Well, let's give it a background. And if I were smart, I would have just duplicated this at the very beginning. So I would have just already had this waiting. But instead, we're gonna have to recreate it. So text just says text. Give it a because we're making a background. Load in our font here. I'm gonna rotate it. Just set it up back there, and this is going to be what it's mounted to. And signs are mounted to a lot of different stuff. A lot of times they're mounted to a plexiglass or a piece of wood. If they're on a brick wall, they're screwed straight into the brick wall. If they're freestanding, a lot of times they'll have a big grid behind them. And the way they attach the neon to that is usually through little brackets, like you can see here. This is just an insulative glass rod here with a couple barbs to wrap the wire around to hold it on, and that's just screwed right into the wood or into the concrete or the whatever, because these things are going at like 8,000 volts. It's ridiculous, which is why all neon signs have a transformer. Okay, so we've got this going. I'm gonna see if I can offset the geometry to make it just a little wider until maybe it starts to glitch out. Yeah, like that X does right there. If I keep going, does it normalize again? I guess this is as far as I can go. I will also extrude it just a little bit. And let's see, should we do wood or should we do, let's do plexiglass here. Because then we get the cool reflection of the neon in the plexiglass, and that's pretty rad too. So I'm just gonna make my own here. Let's do glossy. Let's do transparent. Gonna Control Shift right click, and the Node Wrangler will give us a mix shader here. Plug that in, and look at that. We've got a nice little plexiglass background. I might hit Control T to bring up a texture node and plug it into the roughness, and that way we can load in a texture to kind of like give us some imperfections. I think this one looks kind of like scratches here, so but it doesn't really have UV coordinates. It's trying to generate some on the fly, and they're a little bit messy. So I'm gonna convert this into a mesh. Convert to mesh, and now we have that. Now I can hit U, project from view, and it'll unwrap. This isn't really, I'm assuming you already know what that is, otherwise I'm going way too fast and I apologize. But yeah, now we have some UV coordinates there, and this should look a little bit better. How's that? Ooh, yeah, look at that up there. This is pretty cool. In fact, we should probably do this to the neon, although if your neon's getting this scratched up, you should be more careful, I think. Okay, so yeah, let's make these little mounts right here. I'm just gonna make a cylinder. We're gonna have a bunch of them, so I'm gonna try to keep it fairly low poly. And this will be the washer, kind of rubber washer behind the plexiglass. This will be in front. This will be maybe those are a bit far away. This will be kind of the bit going through here. Scale down. I'm gonna select these and hit Alt N, extrude faces along normals, scale them down. Yeah. That's an ugly shape. We're only ever gonna see it very small, and so I'm not particularly worried. Shade smooth, excellent, and maybe I'll widen this up just a little bit and give it like a bolt thing going on down here. And that's how it's kind of screwed in, I suppose. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to try lining this up back here behind. Here, let's turn on auto smooth. I'm going to try to line this up back here behind the plexiglass, touching barely the back of the neon. And let's see what happens if we kind of put it there. I wish we could have offset it. I guess we still could, but what's the easiest way to do that? If I just hit Alt S, does that? Oh, these aren't connected? What? All right, F3, merge by distance, and let's see if we can remove to 664 vertices. So now these should all actually be connected. And now, hopefully, if we hit Alt S, we'll be able to actually grow this just slightly. Yes, this is great. And we can pull this one down to be a little bit more square. Everything else look okay? The X's look like they're overlapping. Bring that up. This part is not good. Control Shift B. No, that doesn't work. Okay, well maybe whoever made this background was trying to get fired, and so they were secretly doing a really bad job at work because they had other opportunities, but if they quit, they didn't get unemployment benefits. So, yeah. Oh, wow, it's so fat now. Okay, we have to clean this up. Just scale on the y-axis to 0. Scale on the y-axis to 0. Make it shorter. Stick it between the washers. Yes. Alright, sorry that got a little bit out of hand for a second. Autosmooth. Now we go back to rendered mode. It's still looking pretty good. I'm gonna make this washer kind of a dark material too. Maybe it's a rubber washer. And let's add some wires here to hold it on. So Shift S, cursor to selection, just so our new curve will appear right there. I'm gonna add a circle. If I scale it like this, good. Okay. Sometimes the handles are big, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna try to, I don't know, do this without having to make everything too accurate. Cool. There we go, and there it's a little X. Turn up the geometry, depth. We want it very small. Here's that one. Cool. And let's convert this to mesh. And that way we can join these. Boop. And move it all around as one object. Nice. Okay. So first, I'm just going to stick this around on that axis. Oh. And there's surprisingly few, it's just hollow glass, so there aren't actually all that many holding it up, but you can add, as many as you want. Then I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees and just stick it on the other axis. We'll just match that curve, that angle. I'm trying to do all of this without having to open it up in Premiere and edit it down at all. And so that's kind of my challenge. Like, all right, there's a repetitive task. Can I do it fast enough so that I don't have to edit out the boring bits? Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, let's just finish up. Let's finish up the wires then. All of these have a little rubber cap on there. We'll just do that with a cylinder here. And the rubber cap is just, there's just a the wire just sticks out of the tube, basically. It melts down and the wire sticks out, and so you twist that wire with this other wire and cover the whole mess with this rubber cap, and don't touch it because you could legitimately die. It's great. So I think the cap kind of looks like this, and then that, and there's a little thing here. We'll select these edge loops. Control B to kind of bevel them all out, and let's see how this works if we just stick this on the end here. Oh. Cool. I'm going to use this same material here. Not that you can see that. What else do we got? Oh, and then over here. Huh. Well, I didn't really give these ones a lot of space. You could go in and clean all of that up, but I don't know. Okay. Now we're going to have our let's create a little transformer. There more than meets the eye. In the long version of the tutorial I made that joke. you wouldn't even, so many times, I had to redo the whole thing because I couldn't stop talking about Transformers and how they're more than you think they are. New material. Transformer. Base colors and image texture. Loaded in from the Sweet Text. There we go. This is just a picture I took of my dirty one. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to actually match this angle right here. And if I get it right, this will be fairly easy. So I select all of this, hit U, project from view, and then I'm going to hope that I can just kind of, what's that? No, I'm going to move up a little bit. And that's okay. And we're just going to try to, I'll turn on material view here so you can see what we're doing. We're just lining all of this stuff up. This is a fun way to do it, but also you might have to subdivide it a little bit to get everything clean, because if you have to pull the stuff around, you start to get this kind of warping like this, which, you know, that's fine. I think. There are probably people who tell you not to do it this way. But I will not. I will say, do it this way. Now let's add, actually let's fix the other side first, because this side is no good, obviously, and honestly these parts aren't all that hot either. Let's select this one and just stick it right there. Let's select these bad bits, and yeah, let's just reproject them like that and see if we can kind of just slip them back there. Cool. And now if we subdivide it a little bit, it'll straighten up, and we can kind of duplicate this and extrude it out. Boop, boop, boop. U, cube projection. I just love all of this gross dust here. It's so good. And there we go. Now we've got our little transformer. Whoa! Material view is very bright. It's probably because this emissive tube is 5,000 whatevers. Oh, that part's still weird. Okay, fine. We've been fixing things. We'll fix that. No? Did we fix it? Yeah, it's fine. Just don't look close. Okay. So, curve, Bezier. One goes into here, one comes out of the transformer. Ooh, in fact, maybe we'll add a couple, we'll have these guys sticking out just kind of as the connectors. And here, let's mount this on a wall. Okay, so that'll go there, and then we'll have this other one going over to, let's see, where's the other one come out? Yeah, right here. And wires are never actually, I mean, they're rarely this smooth. Like if you look at these, those ones are fairly smooth actually. But a lot of times you get just kind of this little wiggle thing. And even like the wires we added in the dust, look, there's so much more grime in real life than in any of the stuff we're doing. So I'm gonna subdivide this, right click, and yeah, subdivide. Just add a couple little warbles here. Just kind of give the wire a little bit of stiffness, you know. Under the object data, turn up our bevel, keep it nice and thin. Okay, and then come back out and down to the other side of the transformer. But let's see, I'm gonna slide this out a little bit so it doesn't intersect this wire, and I'm actually gonna bring this one over here so it can be like kind of hooked on it. Might feel a little realistic. Yes, that's pretty cool, and give it the same material. And then of course we would also have, you know, wire going down to like an electrical outlet somewhere. Can I just control right click and extrude? Oh, yes, I can. Let's do that instead. Yeah, that's a weird stiff cable. Okay. F3 images as planes. I'm gonna search in the texture folder for just some, dirty plaster type situation. And rotate 90 degrees. It's completely invisible, but we'll stick it up here on a wall. Cool. And that's nifty. I like it. I guess the plexiglass looks a little bit weird. Honestly, you don't even need it. You just go straight to the wall, but it kind of adds a cool bit. I think if I had it, let's see, there's the metal bear. I think if I made it even smoother, so it isn't this weird kind of like metal thing, if I just crunch up those blacks there. Yeah, that looks a little better. Also, we have this big bright wall behind us, and so if I rotated that, it'd probably look a little better. A little more natural. That's pretty good. One thing you want to make sure when you're rendering with neon is under light paths, make sure you have refractive caustics on. Otherwise, it'll just be completely blocked by the glass there. In fact, I'm going to go through and under... This is the part where I go through and I just kind of try to make everything slightly better. If I fatten this up, we should get a bunch more light. So one thing I would think I want to do is add some imperfections to, well, let's see what it looks like nice and close. This is actually pretty good. I think if we made the colors of the neon like more red, that would probably help a little bit. Although I was actually really loving the blue of the Hyperbole. Let's try that. Which one do I have selected? The very thin one? Yeah. So that one like a very bright. Yeah, there we go. A very bright blue, and then the outer glow will be kind of a darker blue. Yeah, that's nifty. Okay, so yeah, let's add some texture to this outer bit. So I'm just gonna solo look at this, and all right. So this diffuses this back area, which I think we could probably even lighten up just a tad. And I'm gonna mix in one more material: shader, diffuse, dark smudges, mix shader. Bam! And if I hit Control T, it'll plug an image texture into the factor. And we're probably going to have to unwrap this somehow, but let's see what happens if we just plug in, like, my usual go-to, this guy. Can we even see anything? I don't know that we can. Alright, so this is a curve. So I'm finally going to convert to mesh, which is cool. And ideally, that means we could also select these edge loops here. And, no, it's only giving us half of the loop. And I don't know why that happens. Sometimes, if you, recalculate the normals, that'll fix it. But in this case, it doesn't. And so you'd have to click both sides, and that would just take a minute. Oh, it's because it's going all the way around. That's ridiculous. Anyways, you can fix that up, you know, and make that all nice and smooth, too, which is a good thing to do. Alright, so this is... Oh, but now that we have that done, we can use cube projection, and let's see, is this doing anything? Converter, color amp, let's increase the contrast here. See if we can make, yeah, now we got some dark bits here. But as you can see, it's, because we did a cube projection, it's projecting the same thing all the way through the sides here. And so I think a good way to fix that would just be like, I don't know, maybe just go to a random angle and hit U, project from view. And you'll get some doubling, you know, where it projects through the same side, but my guess is, like, from an angle like this, it's mostly fine. Also, I don't actually want that many of these scratches, so how do we... Here we go. Yeah, just a little bit, just a little bit of dirt. Honestly, that's still probably quite a bit of dirt. But I'm gonna I'm gonna duplicate this too and plug it into the glass's roughness just to see what happens. And it kind of adds just a. Now it's rough where it's sturdy, which I guess kind of makes sense. We could also do like just scale it double so it's at a slightly different random thing. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's more advanced neon, I think, and I'm more confident to use this in scenes if it's going to be in a close up because it would actually hold up as opposed to just what were we doing before? Basically just this. So yeah, oh, my face has been here the whole time. That's wild. I will talk to you soon. I'll have the transformer asset and the little rubber cap and the things uploaded just because we can. And talk to you soon.